Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. Today I'm going to be breaking down the #1 layer 1 blockchain that I think is going to have the biggest ROI this cycle. In the last bull market, I had the opportunity of being early not only to Phantom Networks and Terra Luna, but I also bought Solana at the very bottom of its cycle before it went up well over 5,000x returns. This cycle, I've got nothing but confidence that layer 1s are going to continue to outperform the majority of cryptos out there. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my top pick, the one that I think is revolutionizing the layer 1 space, and why I think that this is going to give us the biggest return and how we can be positioned early to capitalize on all of this momentum coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that like, comment, and subscribe button. Without further ado, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and I'm super excited to break this down because C is a project I've been investing in. It's one I've been researching extensively over the last couple months, and I'm finally ready to put it all together inside of a video and really help you guys to see the value, the reason why this is such a better layer 1 in comparison to many of the other projects out there, and how we can be invested and prepared to be positioned early into this project before all of this hype sets in. Like I said guys, in the last cycle, I bought 3 of the very best performing layer 1 blockchains, all of them going up hundreds of X's in value, some of those even going up well over a few thousand X. This cycle, I really do believe that layer 1s are going to once again blow up in a big way. As long as Ethereum continues to have scalability issues, people are going to be looking to the next best layer 1 that they can invest in, that they can build on, that are ultimately going to be able to fix some of these scalability issues. C is a perfect example of this, and I'm going to break down all of the fundamentals. We're going to get into the details around why this is such a better layer 1. We're going to be diving into the charts. I've got an absolutely amazing fractal that I wanted to share with you guys that perfectly show why this is going to potentially do 1,000x returns this cycle. Now, right off the bat, the fastest parallel blockchain. For you guys that don't know what a parallel blockchain is, I wanted to explain this because this is probably the big selling point for why C is so much better than many of the other layers out there. The first parallelized EVM blockchain. For you guys that don't know what an EVM chain actually is, Ethereum was the very first technology to bring this. EVM literally stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. And what that is it's the computing layer that allows developers to actually create and issue their own smart contracts. The reason why it is so important that we have a parallelized EVM blockchain is because not only is this going to be compatible to its own ecosystem, which is the C network, but you're also going to be able to merge this, and builders are going to be able to actually migrate all of their smart contracts existing from EVM chains like Ethereum or even Binance chain, and they're going to be able to input all of that code back over to the C blockchain. That to me is such a huge value proposition, considering there's many developers out there that have built a lot of code, they've already built a lot of projects. Many of these projects just don't have the ability to work on Ethereum. And so now that we have a blockchain where we can take all of our coding work, all of our smart contracts, and we can easily migrate it over to a C blockchain that is actually scalable, that to me is the real big selling point for why this is such a great project. If we come down and read this article further, we're going to see some of the advantages a parallel EVM blockchain has in comparison to some of the other cryptos out there. Backwards compatibility of EVM smart contracts, allowing developers to deploy audited smart contracts from EVM compatible blockchains with no code changes, meaning they can easily migrate all of their code from an EVM, whether that's Binance Smart Chain, whether that's Ethereum, and they can actually input all of their code over to the C blockchain. That to me is really valuable. Reusability of familiar and widely used application and tooling such as MetaMask. Whenever you're using a non-EVM chain like Solana, you have to use their own specific wallet, which is the Phantom wallet. This can be a pain in the butt, especially for somebody that doesn't want to keep track of multiple different wallets at the same time. Through C, we're actually able to not only use MetaMask, but any other EVM-based wallet, and it's going to be compatible over here with the C blockchain. That's just another reason why this is so much more unique than many of the other blockchains out there. You don't need a private wallet only for the C chain. C can actually use EVM-based wallets as well, and that to me is a win-win. Now, if we also come back down here and read kind of the conclusion, the summarizing thoughts, this is really what I think is going to summarize all of what we just read. Applications currently built on any EVM chain will be able to deploy on C to support many more users and far more Web 2-like interactive experiences than on existing blockchains. Furthermore, they can offer far cheaper per transaction costs, higher throughput, and suffer from none of the centralization trade-offs, complexity, or the overhead of operating on an Ethereum layer 2 rollup. These are all very big reasons for why C C is much more scalable, why it's much more compatible with all the other chains, and how it's much more user-friendly for the average builder and developer that actually wants to start building on some type of layer 1 blockchain. Now, one of the big things that we need to talk about is the scalability of layer 1s. If we're looking at C and we know that it has a parallelized EVM, this is very important because not only is it going to make it much more scalable with all of the other blockchain layers, but it's going to make it faster. And if we take the time to compare the TPS of C versus many of the other top layer 1s in the market, it's actually a huge difference. The time to finality is only 380 ms. Meanwhile, the transactions per second is sitting at 12,500. This is significantly higher than any of the other blockchains out there. When we come over and look at some of the other ones, Solana is currently sitting at 1,000 TPS at its max. Sui, next in line, is 854. Binance Smart Chain is only at 378. So when we're looking at all of the other competitors, they're not even close to being on the same speeds as what we see with C. So not only is this a parallel EVM structure, which makes it compatible with all of the other blockchains out there as well as EVM-based wallets, but it's also significantly faster than all of the other layer 1s out there on the market. There's so many big reasons to be an investor into this project, and that to me is why I've really gone behind it. I've invested my own portfolio. I've really consolidated a decent amount of exposure into this ecosystem because I've got nothing but confidence that with what these guys are building, it's much better than the other layer 1s that exist. It's much more scalable than the other layer 1s that exist, and it's much faster than all of the other layer 1s that exist. All of these reasons are fundamental drivers of value. They're exact narratives that are going to catch on and are going to cause a lot of people to bridge over here and begin building or just simply using the C chain. Now, if we're talking about all of this, let's dive into the chart. Let's see what the charts are telling us and why this thing is set for such a monumental explosion in price very soon. Now, if we come over here and actually take a look at the chart, this is where things are going to get crazy. In every single cycle, I've been early to layer 1s. I've made a majority of my profit based off of being early to those specific investments. And in this cycle, I've done the exact same things. I've invested into a lot of the same technology. I've looked for new projects that are inside of the layer 1 narrative that are going to blow up. And I really don't think that we should look any further than SEI. I really have a lot of confidence this is going to outperform the vast majority of cryptos out there. When we take a look at the chart and we're analyzing C, it's following the exact same pattern that many of the very best performing assets up to this point have actually done. Ethereum, all the way back in 2016, was really where I got into crypto. I remember accumulating Ethereum at $6 all the way back down in here. And what I find so interesting is that the chart of Ethereum all the way back in 2016 when we first started that cycle looks identical to what SEI is doing today. And that to me is another reason why when we're looking at the fundamentals, we see that the value is there. We know that this is a really good project with extreme fundamentals and a use case for new developers and new people to build over here. Yet when we're actually looking at the chart, it's lining up with the exact same setups that many of our best layer 1s that have already blown up have followed. Ethereum was this great example. And remember, once Bitcoin went into a new all-time high and Ethereum broke out of this first little move, Ethereum went from $6 all the way to $400 all in one big move. And it still ended up going even higher, peaking at $1,400, almost $1,500 at the end of that cycle. So if we're zooming out, we're taking a look at Ethereum and we're seeing how high this thing actually went up. And when we're zooming out and we're taking a look at C and we see how it looks almost exactly the same in price, these are all the type of things that I'm personally looking for when trying to determine what's a good buy, what's something I should get into for a long-term hold and look to hold the majority of the trend. Layer 1s are always going to be one of the best narratives to follow. Now, when we're looking into the layer 1s, we can see that C has a significant advantage over some of the technology and the actual fundamentals of what makes this project whole. When we're looking at the chart, it lines up perfectly with all of our best performing assets. These are all multiple different points of interest that are kind of converging at the same point. This is what you want to look for a good long-term hold. And with C, basically, if we're comparing both of these, Ethereum finished this final ABC correction, and then that's really where it started to go crazy. What I find interesting is C has just finished the same ABC correction, and we're just at the very beginning stages of uptrending again. I would say that where we're at in the long term is basically just right here. We're kind of at that last little phase as the market will start uptrending down in here, and then it'll really start to go parabolic into this next cycle. But the problem is, because this is only our first little leg up, the next cycle is going to happen, and it's probably going to catch most people by surprise. Most people are probably not going to get invested into this because they're going to be thinking, oh, well, I have time to get in, or man, it's already pumped so high off of the lows, I better just wait. only for this type of price action to follow shortly after. But Ethereum isn't the only example of a chart that has done this exact same thing. We can come over here and actually look at Solana and see a lot of those same similarities in structure once again. And in fact, Solana pretty much followed identically to what Ethereum did in its first cycle. And this is why I say, the best thing that we can be doing is looking for good layer ones with a good use case, investing into those early, and then watching when all of that profit rolls through. If we're looking at Solana, it pretty much did this exact same setup, where once it finished this ABC correction back down, it started bottoming. We see a reversal, it starts rounding out, and then this is what it did shortly after. It followed exactly to what Ethereum did, going from $1.40 all the way up to about 60 bucks in one big move, only for this thing to continue to go up and go all the way up to about $260. So if we're looking at the chart of Solana, we are literally right here at the very, very, very beginning of this. We've only ever got added to exchanges, made that little listing dump, made our first little higher high, and when we look at what Solana did shortly after that same point, we get listed, make the listing dump, make our first higher high, ABC back down, and then this is where the fun part of the cycle started. Remember, when we're looking at Solana, Solana blew up because it was so much more scalable than Ethereum. However, when we're actually looking at Solana, registering at a max 1,000 TPS, yet we come over and look at C and see that it has about 10x that potential at 12,500 transactions per second. That's a very big difference, right? And not only that, that's just Solana. If we're comparing the TPS versus Sui, Binance Chain, Polygon, Ton, Tron, Near, Avalanche, they're all way lower than that. You know, looking at Avalanche, not even peaking at 100 TPS, and then looking at C and seeing 12,500 transactions per second. And then when we're also factoring in all of the charts and we see just how bullish this setup is playing out, I've got a lot of confidence we're going to see a lot of the same things, guys. We're literally at the very beginning of this entire cycle. We're going to look back at C, we're going to zoom out, and it's just going to be this little teeny tiny nothing on the map. It's going to not even be able to see this in the same ways that we did all the way back into Solana when it started breaking out. When Solana got to the point of peaking, you couldn't even really see that beginning run up. Same thing with Ethereum. It's all virtually the same because what we're looking at here is Elliott waves. This was wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, and then this was wave 5 for Solana, a very, very extended type of blow off top. And then if we come over and just simply pull up Ethereum as well, Ethereum also followed along pretty much identically to the same thing. Solana had the same wave count, Ethereum had the same wave count, 3, 4, and 5. Both Solana and Ethereum pretty much look exactly the same in their chart. Now, if we're looking at C, C is just at the very beginning. All we've ever finished was a wave 1 and a wave 2. So we still have 3, 4, and 5 still to go before this is over. So we could see this thing explode all the way up to like, you know, 20, 25 bucks, maybe $50 in this next move. And then we would still be expecting another impulse to come even after that. That's what is important to be understanding about C. The upside potential is massive, and when we're looking at it following pretty much the exact same accumulation as many of the other best performing layer ones out there, it just gives me a lot of confidence to buckle in, invest into this project, because once this upside sets in, we're all about to make a significant amount of money. I mean, this at the end of the day is what I'm doing with my portfolio. I look at C, I look at the fundamentals, and I see a lot of value here. I see good money backing it. I see great tokenomics between most of the supply has already been unlocked at this point in the same ways that Solana did in its last cycle. So if we're looking at what is going to potentially give us that biggest ROI this cycle, I really think that we should focus in on SEI or C Network. This is one that's going to take a lot of people by surprise between the development that they have, what they're actually building in the layer one space. I really just think it's going to be one of the very best investments out there. So I'm invested, I'm buying more, and I'm really looking forward to this entire ecosystem blowing up. So guys, thank you so much for the support. Thank you for watching this video. If you found any value and you actually want to see what I'm investing in the C ecosystem, we've been posting some signals. So if you guys want to be able to get in early and invest into some of these top projects launching in here, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. From my website, you can get lifetime access inside of my private group. Everything I'm doing with my portfolio, my money, all of that stuff. We just nailed a 10x call earlier today, and you know, we took some profit on that. So if you guys want to be able to follow along with all of that, links are in the description to go ahead and check out my website. With that being said, thank you so much for the support. I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.